Okay, so we're at week 5 already, and you know, I managed to collect a couple of What's up, you beautiful bastards? Oh my god. Okay. Hey everybody, it's week 5. I am slowly learning how to do this better and better. This week I actually wanted to practice on my camera presence, looking into into your eyes and talking to you. And I've been watching a bunch of people on YouTube. The most famous one is Philip DeFranco. This guy is an absolute pro. He's like, "What's up, you beautiful bastards?" And he's just so natural and wonderful. And I hope to look back at these videos in the year and realize that I've definitely gotten more comfortable. I really do like this setup. The lighting is great. My hair could be a little bit better. It's okay. I got my dad clothes on. If you're not familiar with what dad clothes are, it's basically when you become a dad, you end up buying a lot of the same stuff over and over again, because if your son or daughter gets it messy, you can literally just swap it out to something that looks exactly the same. It's really great. I own like 8 pairs of Gap pants that I could just interchange. I want to be like the Steve Jobs of dads, so that like I always look the same, so that like my weekends, you know, if a shirt gets messy, I can literally just replace it and still feel comfortable. So that's what dad clothes are. But I have a lot on my mind, because this week I have a full-time job. I reported last week from my job because I had to work on the weekend, and I had a boss. And about a month ago, he was let go. He sort of left for personal reasons, but I guess more accurately, he left for personal reasons, and which is basically he was just asked to leave. I wonder if someone ever presents somebody with the option of like, we will fire you, or you could leave for personal reasons, and someone's like, just fire me. I think most people pick the I would like to leave for personal reasons. I think it's about saving face. And it was just an interesting circumstances, because I felt like it was going to happen, but it just felt like a shock. And everybody I worked with was sort of shocked. And about a month later, it took us a while to finally sit down. And the new executive director, the interim executive director, sat us down and said, like, let's talk about this. And one of the first things out of somebody I work with's mouth, that is a mouthful. One of the first things said by somebody who I work with was like, what about job security? Because usually when something like this happens, given what our organization is going through, jobs could be lost. And we're not 100% sure, but it is bound to happen. He said, like, I can't lie to you. I can't make any promises about keeping anybody's job. So he was sort of encouraging us to like start looking, which was obvious. We kind of knew that that was happening. It was a little unsettling for a couple of people. A couple of people might feel that they're more vulnerable. I'm sort of on the fence. I feel like I'm doing great work. I know I'm doing great work. I have a lot of responsibilities. I'm always trying to accomplish more and more. But the truth of the matter is sometimes when you have to make cuts, anybody is, you know, on the chopping block. And that's what's been on my mind for the last few days, because when your livelihood is threatened or insecure, everything else kind of goes out the window, you know? It's not so much of a black swan event. I mean, we kind of can see it coming. It's not totally unexpected. Black Swan event it's not about the movie, about ballet. It's by this guy, I think his name is Nassim Taleb. And he wrote this book about sort of playing on the markets and how sometimes like these one-time events could make markets go up and down. 9/11 was a perfect example of that and how that affected the market. And he wrote a whole book that was quite popular. That's sort of been on my mind. Thankfully, I do have a very supportive wife. She has a very secure job. We will be okay, but there's this whole fear of like looking for work. You know, you have to update your resume. You have to translate what you did into something concrete, into words, like actionable words, and then the whole interview process is pretty time consuming. They say looking for work is a full-time job, kind of like dating, but then they also say that getting a job, it's helpful to have a job when you're looking for a job. So now that you're working full-time and then looking for a full-time job, there's just a lot of full-timeness, and then being a full-time dad. This past weekend I watched my son for 24 hours, and I do have to say that That was awesome. However, my son decided not to nap at all for the entire day, which just means that I am on 12 hours, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. just go, 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 go. And I tried to put him down for a nap, but he just would not go down. And the only silver lining out of that, well, not the only silver lining, one of the silver linings is that I get to spend the entire day with my son. But I managed to get 12,000 steps, which is, always looking at the positive side of things. Yeah, I guess it's just tough when you think you might lose your job in a month or two. So, some of these updates are going to be a little less comedy and more about life, It's not just about being a comedian or a dad, but a guy just trying to make a living. I definitely want to say that I am in a unique position. I have a very supportive wife. Like I said, she has a very secure job. But, life does get expensive. Los Angeles is a very expensive city. Being a parent is expensive. And, all these things that sort of take away our time, our hobbies and our passions and our love come at a cost, and it's not just always monetary. And sometimes you have to shrink down to certain things to focus on what's important. And maybe in a couple of months, I might have to slow down doing these videos to focus on finding more work or a new job. I recently got in touch with an old high school friend. He posted a comment on my website. I had sent him a script of mine years ago, and he had read it because he was watching the show Corporate on Comedy Central, and he was like, oh man, the similarities are staggering. Is your script an inspiration or something? And it's not. I mean, comedies that take place in offices are not so original. There's a lot of comedies out there. I have not seen Corporate. I hear it's very good. I know the comedian Jake Weissman, one of the co-creators. He's very funny. And when I read the announcement in Deadline like a year or so ago, and I'll put the link below me about that announcement, my heart sort of sank because I just felt like it was along the same lines. And my friend was just saying that why don't you just send your script in and hopefully they can use that as an episode for season 2. And that's not how Hollywood works. If that was that easy, I think more people would be in Hollywood. And when I say Hollywood, I mean breaking into becoming a famous comedian and stuff like that, and a famous writer takes a lot of hard work and a lot of luck. So, when there's these things that oh, maybe I'll lose my job, I always try to look at the positive, right? Getting 12,000 steps in one day. I want to see that this could be an opportunity as well. Maybe I'll be able to focus a little bit on my writing. Maybe I won't be so distracted. Maybe I'll be able to do some of my script writing as well. One of the things I really appreciate is reconnecting with my friend. It has actually been about 4 years, but he's always encouraged me to sort of leap 2 feet forward to do comedy full time. He's like, if this is not an opportunity for you to do comedy full time, I don't know what is. But he's always said that. And while I always admire him, again, making it in comedy is a very elusive game, and I really think that keeping busy with a job and a family and being married and being a husband and a father and all these sort of things that I'm juggling is good for me. I know there's some people that can just do comedy. They're like, I'm gonna do comedy 100%. They're like, I think I was listening to a podcast all about the sets. They were talking about Jerry Seinfeld's comedian documentary, about there was this moment when Jerry Seinfeld saw these construction workers coming back from lunch, and he recognized that they're like, these guys don't want to go back to work, but they have to because it's their job. And he said to himself, but if I want to be a comedian, then I have to look at this like a job. So that's very inspirational in the sense that you have to put in the time. There are comedians out there that spend probably 2-3 hours a day writing material, and I definitely need to hunker down if I'm going to be successful in this album. I guess I'm really just freestyling here, and you can tell that there's just a lot on my mind right now, and hopefully things will change for the positive. I want to look back at these videos and say, oh my God, I can't believe I was going through that and I overcame it in a positive manner. I do believe that I'm optimistic about everything, and we'll see what my job, what comes of my job. Things come and go, and I've always been fortunate enough to find new opportunities, and I really appreciate you listening to me. If you have anything to share, If you've ever been in a similar situation where you feel like you're going to lose your job, or you have to decide between working full-time or even part-time at a job, or pursuing your passion, like starting your own business, etc., why don't you share below and let me know. Maybe I'll work on my camera, my camera moves another time. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah. We'll catch you next week.